to our highest teacher, however you imagine that. The idea is to get it as visceral as possible, really invite the highest beings you can imagine to be present. Imagine you creating every aspect of a perfect universe, free from suffering, filled with bliss, beings, minds, experiences, colors, shapes, stunning. Imagine it in your hand expanding to every corner of the universe. And that will produce a result for you. So the more you experience that internally, the more your mind will have that to produce. Then you give it away to your highest teacher, whatever that is. And then we'll do this taking refuge. So.
Sashi
Bukir Jishin Metotram Viram Ningshin Yunde Padi Sangye Shindu Mite Wargi Rokun Namda Shinla Chuparsho Idam Guru Ragnamandala Kam Niryatayami
Sangye
Shridam Zogi Choknam La Janchu Vardu Dakni Gyatsuchi Daki Chinyen Gipe Sanam Ki Rola Benjir Sangye Druparsho
Sangye
Shridam Zogi Choknam La Janchu Vardu Dakni Gyatsuchi Dagi Chinyen Gipe Sonam Ki Rola Benchir Sangye Druparsho
Sangye
Shridam Zoki Choknam La Janchu Vardu Dakni Gyatsuchi Daki Chinyen Gipe Sonam Ki Rola Benchir Sangye Druparsho. Let's do a quick meditation before we start. And I'm going to invite you, please, whatever's top of mind, whatever troubles you walked in with past weeks, last hours, or whatever exciting thing you got to do after today, just give yourself the space. Bye-bye yesterday, and goodbye future that isn't here right now. Be as fully present as you can with this thing called your mind, yeah? You can pick up your problems later, promise they'll come back whether you like them or not, yeah? But give yourself at least 10 minutes of freedom and see whether you can settle into these 2 hours here, be present. The more present you are, the more present you'll get. That was a joke. So let's take a deep breath, stretch your bodies, get it seated properly. The idea here is your spine should be straight, like a string pulling you up from the crown of your head. Your base is sturdy, so you can forget the sensations of your body for the next few minutes. So get yourself in a comfortably seated position. Try not to have anything pressing on your back. And very gently, just do a scan of your body from the bottom up, your feet, your thighs, your torso, releasing any tension, tucking your tummy just a tiny bit to sustain your torso. Just allow your mind to attend to any tension or sensation of your body, and then just release and move on, going higher and higher until your shoulders are relaxed and open. Your neck, the muscles on your face are relaxed. A tiny smile flickers on the edge of your eyes and lips. Most relaxed face you can have. The space between your brows usually takes a little tension, so just naturally relax it. Nothing else to do but to be here right now. Feel who you are. And just gradually bring your awareness to the sensation of the breath entering and exiting your nostrils. That's all we need to do. Just see if you can find any difference in the air temperature as it exits or enters. You can feel a tickle on the tiny hairs at the edge of your nose. Imagine it or sense the air entering and exiting your body through your nostrils, any way you wish. We'll do a few rounds of that. If your mind wanders, just gently bring it back to the breath. See if you can observe the breath with wonder, as if it's the first time you've noticed it sustaining your body. Really feel it filling your lungs, and just follow it as it exits naturally. No need to control it, just observe it. Now focus a little more on the exhalation. See if you can follow it all the way until it stops and pauses between exhale and inhale. Just follow it all the way along. Let the inhale happen naturally and then follow it again all the way out. Now I'll invite you to imagine that you're seated in meditation in your perfect place anywhere in this universe or planet. Create around you a perfect environment. It could be far away in mountains, it could be in the middle of the sky, it could be in your room or in this room. Wherever you feel most comfortable, just imagine you are seated there. Get a sense of the space around you. Try and really feel that you're there. Add the smells, sensation on your skin, the presence of objects around you that are in that place, and the complete relaxation that you are in your favorite, most relaxed and optimal space for meditation. Just you. It's precious time. And with your mind, call upon a teacher, whoever it is for you, to come and appear seated in front of you, facing you. Your highest teacher you've ever met or wish to meet. Really imagine them here, just you and them, seated facing each other in meditation, knees to knees, almost touching. And try and scan their body with your mind's eye, and try and scan their feelings of complete love and wisdom for you. To spend a little bit of time imagining that perfect teacher seated right in front of you. You don't have to just imagine them visually, you can just sense like the gravity of them in front of you, the sensation that they are there, their scent, their breathing. Try and feel as much detail as possible to make it as real in your mind. Now begin to imagine their highest quality, the thing you revere about them the most, the thing that inspires you, the thing that really is extremely beneficial for your life and this world. Whatever that is, their highest quality, just imagine it with a sense of reverence, kind of awestruck appreciation for them demonstrating that quality exists and is achievable. And imagine that they can read your thoughts, and that regardless your thoughts, they feel a kind of love that a mother feels for an only child and only wants the highest thing for you. with that recognition, see if you can create an imaginary offering for them, the most precious, beautiful thing you can conjure up, and offer it to them and watch them accept it with complete happiness. It could be a dewdrop on a flower, it could be the entire universe filled with rose petals, it could be one thought of wisdom you've had or a moment of kindness. Just whatever it is, see yourself offering it to them and watch them accept it with joy for the goodness it contains. It's just you and them. See if you can imagine their eyes now looking upon you with absolute, complete, unshakable love for you, just as you are now. Just accept it. And then if you have any things on your conscience, anything preventing you from really relaxing into bliss and love, maybe it's something harsh you did in the last week or so, maybe it's a pattern of disturbing thoughts, whatever it is that is in you, stopping you from happiness, see if you could show it to them, confess it to them, and watch them help you dissolve it. Really feel they are helping you destroy that blockage so you can relax and step into bliss and wisdom. With your next inhale, imagine you both experience it as gone, that obstacle, gone from you. Really, what would it feel like? Next, I'd invite you to search your mind, your actions of the last week or so for the highest goodness you have done, maybe some kindness towards a stranger, maybe some efforts towards wisdom. Maybe it's been helping somebody overcome some problem. Maybe it's just getting through the struggles of the last week or so without creating pain in your world. Try and look for something that you did that was positive in this world, that was kind, that was good. And feel the power of that inside of you. It must give a result. It will produce your world. See if you can feel joy about having that potential inside of you. And imagine the impact it will have in your world. And share it with that teacher in front of you. Allow the joy to surge through your veins. And then it's just you and them. Look at them in the eye again and ask them, beg them almost to please always teach you, regardless of what comes your way, good or bad, that their wisdom will call upon your mind to remember what you must do to generate your perfect future. Ask them, please teach me. And actually watch them agree and happy that you asked. It makes you closer. They promise. Whatever happens, whatever comes your way, they'll whisper wisdom in your ear. They will pop an idea in your mind. They will show you some sign. And then ask them to please stay for as long as it takes for you to reach a state of wisdom that can help all other beings. Earnestly ask for that teacher you imagine in your mind with perfection and love to stay by your side until you yourself can become like them. And as you imagine that, watch them rise up and get smaller and smaller and turn to face the same direction you're facing, and begin to sit and rest at the crown of your head, getting smaller and smaller, but as powerful as you imagined them, bright with all the answers, until there's a bright light at the crown of your head, ready for you to access at any time. See if you can actually feel the presence of those beings in the crown of your head right now. And then invite them in, ask them to be always with you, and imagine them entering the crown of your head, getting smaller and smaller until they're the size of a pea, coming towards your heart until they find a home there in the space just in front of your spine. At the level of your heart, make a home for them. See if you can feel the warmth of them as they come to rest there. Keep them by your heart and gently, very gently, consciously come back to this room. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes gently. Thank you for being very quiet and still. That felt nice for me. I hope it worked for you. But these are the preliminaries to meditation. This is what we do before meditating. So the state of mind that you have right now is the state of mind that is ripe and ready to meditate. It's not the state of mind you walked in here with. With this state of mind, we've gone from reverse to neutral. You know, there's a reason for each one of the steps. You can study that in the next course, which starts in 2 weeks' time. Write the summary of that next course. But if you're meditating daily, you should do some version of that before meditating.
It's going on now.
Sorry?
G's teaching it.
That's right, and G's teaching it in detail on Tuesdays in this very room. 6:30. Thank you, Hannibal. So try and sustain the experience you've got in your mind right now, even though I'm going to go blah, 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 blah words, concepts, and you're going to go, oh, yeah. See, you just did it. Try and hold that. So the way I like to do this class, those of you who have been here before know this game. Who was here last week? Put up your hands, no cheating. Yeah. Thank you. Hannibal, stand up. Rachel, stand up. Paul, do you want to stand up? I feel like I always have to try Paul. Okay. Paul is over there. Sarah's over there. Come on, Hannibal. You can do it.
I fell asleep too.
Come on, standing up. Because you're coming over here and you're taking one of these each. So, come on, wake up your legs. Give that to those three. Hannibal, come over. And we've got Hannibal and Paul. Hannibal and Paul. Hannibal, you go over there. And this one, hold on, we need someone at the back. Were you here, Brian, last week? Do you feel like you can do a review? Do you have access to the cheat sheet?
Do I have access to it?
Yeah, no. Okay, Richard, can you look at all your legs asleep? Like you haven't meditated for half an hour before? Come on, guys. So I'd like to invite all of you to go to one of these groups. We're going to review last week's class. This is probably the most important part of the class because it's you vomiting out the ideas I gave you last week. It's your enlightenment. It's your path to nirvana. It ain't mine. Mine I'm doing right now. Yeah. So you sharing with each other going, does this concept mean this? I thought it was that. That part is getting it into your consciousness. Yeah. So a group will be over there with Richard and Brian by the Buddha in the corner. Maybe 6 people per group. A group will be over here with Rachel. Come and hang out if you're close. A group will be with Sarah towards my mother. Hey, everybody, that's my mother. Her name is Irma. Hi. A group will be over here with Paul, and a group will be over there by Alan and Hannibal. So please, we got 15 minutes max to really understand and explain the answers to last week's course. Amen. And the time begins now. Introduce yourselves to each other. Say hi to each other. It looks like the old crew over here. I want everybody's name on the sheets. Everybody's name in your group. Thank you, Paul.
The other two
Body and
So you're like the third path is wisdom. What it kind of incorporates is
Engage is like a keyboard.
what is the relationship between human principle paths and spiritual
Throw something at you. I talked about it last week.
Usually the way they do
I think what we're saying is correct. And I think this is
study.
Yeah.
I thought it
no. And then
There's two afterlives.
characteristics of the qualified.
It's not like that.
Of the what?
The physical body.
The Rupakaya, Nirmanakaya, and the Sambhavikaya. That question isn't that. That's it. Rupakaya and Dharmakaya. Then you can subdivide those if you want I did.
Anyway, so yeah, so the idea, and that's why like creating that helps you.
You want to go?
Hey, come on down.
Now, number 7, DPE. DPE. Yes, like actually, so straight cutting is a holy being. We may not get to the
So that one's a little, that's exactly.
Number 8.
Today, continue to teach
That's the last one.
yeah.
So you don't want to talk about emptiness to somebody who's never studied.
You do plan.
Number 9 is like
Yeah. So why do you need that? You get tired and you gotta start sick.
all the ways that really describe the teacher. So I know, yeah, it's like I know it. Men before number one. I watched for certain yeah, they go to the station one. Like they keep I know that one is like they will give you the same teaching on like a million so this they should be a person who is at meeting I know that one is like they teach out of love for their students.
Are you not treating love sweet?
They're trying really hard. But my mom's probably going to. She can't stop it. I know that to me not a good karma anyway. Are we nearly there, ladies and gentlemen? 5 more minutes. Feel free to review if you've finished it, or debate a question if you've got time. Do you not have the cheat sheet? Do you want my cheat sheet? You should confirm that you know the answer. Yeah. These are my notes. Yeah, I think they're in there somewhere. Check if they are there. Yeah. So the karma marga is how to make a karma without find someone that would just like one of the 4. Yeah. It's some of the things. It's like a 5 by, it's 5 by 4, it's 6 by 4, but it's the main 4. Yeah. It's what Geshe-la decided to teach as the main essence of the karma course.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure if they were saying like like when they're saying the principles of karma.
Yeah, the ethics. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you had objection to that.
Yeah. So there's no point in being happy. Happy is going to be after something, and sad.
Self-existent. If you think your happiness came from getting the chocolate, you've got the ability.
No, I get that, but I also heard. I heard that we should rejoice about.
Oh, teach to their students. So master instructors teaching to their students.
Because it will create a paradox. So it's not to not have joy. It's to not have attachment when you get something. Because you break on the habit of thinking joy comes from whatever it is. That's all the ego happens. Thinking happiness comes from that is the creation of samsara. You're going to get more of that, you're going to have more of that, you're going to have less of that. Yeah? So that's why the world, they call it the speaking world. But the point of Buddhism, the point of nirvana, or enlightenment, is to be really happy all the time. That doesn't break. Getting happy by getting that, you get unhappy because you need more, you'll go away. Because it's produced within yourself. You are looking for happiness, you really are, but not dependent on a self-existent object. You are looking for always happy, not self-existent. The worldly keeps you samsara, happiness, which means it goes away.
So when it's teaching out of love,
Because you want ultimate happiness. Origination is about creating a good system. And it's with the Bodhichitta motivation is to free everybody from suffering. You should rejoice in that because you want more of that. Yeah, you want your entire world to become that. And it's not ignorantly thinking that happiness only comes from helping people by themselves. It comes from because you're forced to perceive that way.
This is so quick.
Three first renunciation, the old world renunciation, getting the computer to work. That's how the world is sick of that. It's a new way to action. So much like getting the wish from government for the sake of everything. Rejoicing in that. So that works. How does it work? It's correct for you. Because the fantasy every opportunity has given you temporary bliss, permanent outside of you. Yeah. Don't get stuck on the word, don't get happy. Yeah. Ultimately happy, attached happy things.
I mean, think about it though. If you think
Like
about
the middle.
if you actually see somebody as
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Let's see how.
I mean, not one bad thought, but if you're like, I mean, like if you,
Ladies and gentlemen.
Set that way because if you have a bad, like if you get angry,
Gentlemen and ladies,
can
can you make sure everybody's names are on all of those?
sour at that point. Then you look at
Rachel.
yeah, but I think Michael would say like
And then Cormac, yeah.
Rachel. Time. Hurry up. Thank you.
Somebody's getting great again. Everyone's getting
Where'd you
great.
get that?
Thank you.
How about those cars?
I guess spiritual Mary Poppins over here.
Thank you. I'm doing that with my teeth. It's amazing. Do you want to do it again? Please. Ready?
Oh my gosh. Oh, you see what?
Wikiwachi. My mom went to Wikiwachi. Oh, does anybody know what Wikiwachi is?
No.
It's a Florida state park with an underwater spring with a huge glass, and these women have been dressing up as mermaids for decades, and then they do this mermaid dance. Yeah.
But it doesn't mean
It's really kitschy and awesome.
Right?
Wait. My mom did not dress like a mermaid. Did you know that? She's like. Okay, so I am grateful and happy that you are sharing these ideas from your own lips to your own ears, separate from me blubbing over here. That's where the learning is happening. For those of you who did your homework, Aaron, Put up your hands if you did your homework from last week. Victoria, thank you. Wow. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, this is where you should rejoice in other people making you look stupid. Really, like congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. It will burn this in your mind. There is no other time for you to do this. You ain't gonna sit for another 2-hour class, because I'm not teaching this for a long time. I don't know the next opportunity you have. Please grab 10 minutes of your week and just burn it a little deeper in your mind. The homework, you can cheat, I don't care. Just play with the answers. I'll make you play with the answers here. There's no other opportunity, and I don't know of another thing you should do with your lives that is more precious than this. Everything else that you're working on is gonna turn to shit, I promise. Yeah, it will go away. Promise, if you haven't figured that out yet. This will change your mind so you can interpret however things turn out with a better way than a worse way. So then things will turn out how they turn out because you've already planted the seeds in your mind for those things to turn out. But you can infuse your mind with wisdom and with the right attitude, and it's these bits of information that will force you to see your world differently than you would have otherwise. Does that make sense? We're going to talk about that today. So what are the 3 principal paths, the 3 big ideas, the 3 big changes in our mind that we should do according to J. Tsongkhapa, who said, here are the 3 principal teachings of Buddhism, the Lamso Namso, the 3 principal paths that will turn you from schmuckness to enlightenment.
The path of renunciation.
Tell me what it means.
It means that you renounce to perceive the word as coming from your own side.
Nice. Yeah. Give me definition of renunciation, even if it's, give me a layman's explanation of renunciation. Give something up. What are we giving up?
The ignorant belief that this cycle of life and birth and death has to, that you can change the way you live your life and your birth and your...
You're giving that up? No. What are you giving up?
I think you're
Giving
giving
up
up
the
the way
fact that
you
reality is coming from the other side and not from your own side.
What are you giving up?
Worldly desires.
Broken life, your desire.
stop doing things in a way that's not going to give you a result. Like every thought you have is about getting out of samsara.
Stop
And
thinking.
you
You're
start
giving up
doing-
stuff for this life.
Say that again?
You're giving up the stuff of this life, trying to like acquire and get, live for this life.
What?
You stop believing that those things are going to make you ultimately happy.
Nice. Okay, good. Keep going.
I guess you also stop doing the things the way you think they work.
Nice. You give up thinking that the normal way that humans have been doing life for millennia is actually going to bring you happiness. Because if it did, you wouldn't be in this room. Yeah? And people wouldn't be in graves. If the way of seeking meaning, happiness existed in the normal way of engaging with things, let me get apartments, let me get relationships, let me get these things. If that was the way out there to get you to a state free from suffering, none of us would be here. Because that's all we do. So renunciation is going the big FU to that way of thinking. There's got to be another way. There's a different way that I can find meaning, purpose, and freedom in my world, and it ain't the old way. I stop getting happy by taking what I want. There's a different way that you learn through wisdom, correct view, which is the 3rd path, and you act on it through bodhicitta, the 2nd view, right? So I just gave you the 2 answers. Now give me, damn it. So how do you know you've achieved renunciation? You think night and day. So if you've had a good tragedy in your life or going through some troubles in your life, good. Because you're going to get them anyway, people. But now you have an alternate script. Yeah? And the alternate script is there is a way out of that suffering. The old way is just creating more suffering. Honest. It's those cycles. The old way of thinking, you get happy, ain't the way. Other ways, you'd be happy. Yeah, but I was happy a little bit when I did it. The fact that it went away proves it wasn't the cause of happiness. And when you think about that night and day, when you wake up in the morning and there's a interrupting thought, like you get samsaric Tourette's, yeah, that says that, no, Hector, going out to do those things isn't the cause of happiness. Does that mean you shouldn't go out and do your job? You shouldn't go out and take care of your family? You shouldn't? Is that what I'm saying? No. You know that's not what I'm saying, right? I'm saying your mind, I'm not saying it, Tsongkhapa's saying it, your mind has to shift, has to have a different view, not that view, a different view about whatever the hell you're doing. Take care of the family. Go do the work. Have your relationships. Count your money in the bank account. I don't care. It doesn't matter. What matters is how you view what that is, where it came from, how you acquire it. You've got to get inquisitive. I want to finish with the summary of the three principal paths. And you know you've got that when you've habituated. It ain't coming to you because Hector taught a class, okay? You ain't getting renunciation because I said, get renunciation. That's not coming to you. You are responsible for your mind engaging with this world. And if you want to get yourself out of suffering, then the first thing you need to do is recognize that the old way of thinking, how we get happy, isn't the way. And you think of it night and day. And you have to create that thinking of it night and day, which means every opportunity you have, remind yourself. Every meditation you have, remind yourself. If you're riding on a good wave, money's coming in, you're having sex. Good. I say sex and people are like, whew. Yeah, I just do it for engagement. I don't care. I'm not having sex. Sorry. I am now. See, say sex and people listen. I'll say food and you watch. You like, I'm hungry. I digress. What was I saying? I interrupted myself with sex.
Sexy food.
No, before sex, before. Something about renunciation?
We all forgot.
I know. Welcome to samsara, okay? When you think about it night and day, and you are responsible for every opportunity you have, infuse your mind that, hey, this thing is dying at a fast rate. We are being pushed. Doesn't matter whether you want to or not. It's this tick-tock, tick-tock. You're being pushed towards a cliff where you have no more control about this body or these thoughts. At that point is the reset button, and you don't know when that's coming. When I think of that, I think of the flat earth, the image of a flat earth. And doesn't matter, I'm doing my life, but some other energy is pushing me at maybe a faster rate than you, and we're all being pushed, and at some point, boop, you go. Boop, and we're busy going, Instagram, kissy, kissy. I'll think of another person's partner. I'll, eat chocolate, whatever it is we do. We're being pushed towards that. So if you're not sure about renunciation, there's a ton of meditations, there's a ton of practices. Go back to ACI 1, Asian Classic Institute 1, read some of the things in there, and remind yourself why you need to develop this. Because this may look fun, but it ain't fun, really, okay? So you're responsible for that state of mind. You develop it. The promise is, if on top of that you develop 2 other states of mind, you're on your way out. Doesn't mean you pop out of existence. It means you actually have a real existence, okay? So I want to remove it from the idea of thou shalts and Buddhist thought. I want to put it smack in the middle of your mind, which means you have this precious window of opportunity while your mind isn't stupid at the moment, and you can focus and you want wisdom for that period of time, which doesn't last long, yeah? It really doesn't. You have to habituate that state of mind too. You're lucky bastards for having access to your own mind that has a window that wants wisdom. Yeah, you'll get distracted like we did about sex just now, tomorrow or the next day or at some point. This is also a karma ripening, my interest in the nature of all things. And so you have an opportunity right now to invest in that state of mind so it stays with you. That's why that meditation is calling, please teacher, remind me not to be an idiot, yeah, and forget the purpose of this existence. It's precious, it's finite, and you don't know when your reset button happens. So renunciation, you develop, you're responsible for, say, Hector, Stephen, Alan, Jacqueline, Roberta, whatever your name is, remind yourself night and day, I've got to remember this night and day. You want purpose in your life? That's the beginning of purpose. Yeah, and then the second state of mind that you should develop once you figure out, I got to wake up, is just to look up a second and say, Bodhichitta. Everyone else is going through the same thing, and they may not have that window, but they are crawling the face of this planet, moving stuff around to get happy. And the stuff they're moving around in the way that we're moving around, because I was doing that and I'm probably still doing that, ain't delivering that happiness. There is another way. And you, in your heart, you want that to be fulfilled for them. Yeah? And that's Bodhichitta, which we get to talk about tonight. And the third path is correct view of, what's your correct view of emptiness? It's a correct, we'll talk about both these states of mind tonight. Yeah? So please, I won't do this teaching again, the ACI 1 or ACI 16, and you have to take it for yourself if you're interested. If you're just skirting around the edges, then listen to the warning. At some point, you'll need this stuff. So maybe just grab it and put it somewhere. And if you're ripe and ready to do something, commit to developing that state of mind. No one is doing it for you. No one cares about you. Sorry. I'm not sitting there going, well, I am. But most people are not sitting there going, I wonder what Alan needs tomorrow. You know, I wonder what Emily needs tomorrow. I wonder what, you know, Paul's day will be 3 days from now, and I should think of it. But in this room, I know people are thinking that way. Outside this room, it's New York people. Yeah? Maybe your mum is doing it for you. Yeah? So you're responsible for your own happenings in your own mind. And you'll know you're there when you think about it night and day. And that is a habit. You develop that habit. Please. Yeah, at some point, you're going to get sick and tired of trying the old way anyway. You're like, how many relationships do I have to engage in that way before I realize it ain't working for me? Yeah, how many jobs do I have to do? How many clients do I have to sit down and have that boring conversation that if I really have those things developed in just the right way with the colors and shapes, just like so, you will be happy. Next week, they're not happy. The next client wants something different. Like it's just this non-stop cycle of recycling things that break. And that is not the only way to be. And you can figure that out for yourself with logic, not because I said, not because Buddha wrote it. You can think of it with logic. Yeah? And that, you've got to go back and study some stuff. But the simplest way to remember that is if you've had a sustained feeling of happiness, a moment, I've married a few people. I got to tell this to people in Florida recently. I've married a few people, and I've been in front of them as they look at each other in the eye and say their vows to each other and promise to love you until I can't, yeah, or for all of time, or whatever they do. And at that time, people, for 1 minute or 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 2 minutes, they forget themselves, the selfish me, it's all about my happiness, and look at that other person in the eye and say, I want your happiness more than mine. That emotion, if you can have it for 2 minutes on this planet because you love someone so much, if you can forget your own bullshit for 2 minutes, and look at another human being and say, I want everything for you, doesn't matter what happens to me. If you can do that, people, for 2 minutes, you can do it for 3. And if you can do it for 3, you can do it for 10. And if you can do it for 10, it is possible for doing it for a year and 10 years, because it's just your mind experiencing something. It doesn't have to disappear. So you have the technology, you have the equipment, which is a body to do shit with, that produces imprints in your mind, for your mind to project that experience. And that's the goal, because if you can do it for 1, then you can do it for 2. And if you can do it for 2, you can do it for 10. If you can do it for your family, you can do it for your friends. I don't know what else to do on the planet than try and develop that, if that's possible. If that's possible. Because the other way doesn't do anything for us. It breaks, making us jealous, angry, divided. You want peace? That's peace. At that moment, when you're looking at the other person and saying, I love you like I've never loved before. I don't care what happens to me. All I want is your happiness. When you feel that and channel that, at that time, you can't feel anger. You can't feel war. You can't feel hate. It's not possible, because you're there. And that you can do. It's possible. If you felt it once and you got your heart broken, that's because the old way of making that happen breaks. Find the real cause for what gave you that feeling, because that feeling came. You can do it if you've had it, or you can conceive of it. You can have it. That's why we're here. We're not here for Lord Buddha, a statue made of metal. We're not here for bing, bing, bang, bong, blah, 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 blah. We're here to do that to our minds, because that will produce a world for you, not for everybody else, for you who are putting that in your mind, equal to that experience. And when you figure that out, you can then really show other people how to do it. And that's it. Finished class. Let's go. That was easy, right? No? So I want to talk about bodhicitta. Tell me what bodhicitta is. Give me the essence of the words. This is the second of the 3 principal parts. I don't want technical definition, although I will in a minute. Tell me, what is the word bodhi? What is the word chitta?
Buddha mind.
Hmm?
Buddha mind.
Bodhi is Bud, wake, awaken. Buddha, Buddha-ish. Yep. Chitta is mind. Good. So Buddha mind would be the literal translation, right? What if I tell you it's the furthest thing from Buddha mind? It's not the mind of a Buddha, okay? Mm-hmm. Go on. You were going to debate me?
It's not quite the furthest thing.
No, I know. It's not quite the furthest thing. She had the debate face, which is like head over shoulder. Love it. She does it.
She probably gets it from her cat.
yeah. She probably gets it from a cat. Talk about cats. Stephen's cat is crazy, by the way. We went down to his parents' house, and this cat is just mad. He'll come up to you and go, meow, and then go like that, and then you go to touch it and it goes, and then you don't know what it was, to love it or anyway. Digress. That's not Buddha mind. What's bodhicitta? Buddha mind. Tell me in layman's term, because this is the second state of mind we should develop if we really want to work this game and get out while we have that window of opportunity where we can understand, feel motivated to, and want to use this technology. That is cost. So that's going to go away if you don't regenerate it.
I heard this Buddha thing is really cool, and I want everyone else to get it. So I got to make sure to stay around long enough and teach them that too.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
So,
desire to get over all of your afflictions so that you can help other people get over their afflictions.
okay, so it's a desire, yeah.
Well, my interpretation.
Let's hear it. I like you because you're like honest. You're like, this is what I've got in my mind. Here it is.
Well, my interpretation is that
Wrong.
you
No, joking.
you understand that this is you. That everybody is you.
Hmm.
That when everybody suffers, you suffer. And then you have to make sure you stop that.
Nice.
For them and for you and vice versa.
She just did Bodhichitta with wisdom. Okay. She's like, I understand everyone is my projection, correct view. Yeah. Because they are my projection, they are me. My experience of you is me. Yeah. Which is you eat, I eat. You suffer, I suffer. Yeah. And so I have this fervor and this wish to stop what I actually see, which is suffering, tripping, sadness, whatever. Yeah. And I wish to completely eradicate that. Right. That's nice. That's cool.
Could you, now that you said that, could you ever separate bodhicitta from wisdom? Like, wouldn't that just be compassion? Plain old
The Hinayana
compassion?
system has bodhicitta in it. So I'd have to say you'd have a different interpretation than the highest view of emptiness, which we're going to get to talk about now. Right? So I'd have to say it's not what the Prasangika, which we'll get to talk to, the highest view, the highest school that interprets the Buddha's teaching. We'll get to this towards the end of the class. So I'd have to say, whatever bodhicitta is in a Hinayana vehicle, because it's all over the sutras, then it would be separated from the way she explained it. Because for them, dependent origination is different. Yeah.
It would have to be, otherwise it wouldn't be the wish. Because if you had bodhicitta and wisdom in the same mind, wouldn't it be a Buddha?
Bodhicitta and wisdom in the same mind? No, not if you have intellectual wisdom, it wouldn't be a Buddha.
Well,
Yeah.
But the wish isn't an achievement, right? It's a orientation.
Well, you can actually have an ultimate state of the wish. Yeah, so bodhicitta, let's go there, right? Bodhicitta is this mind that wants enlightenment, that really craves perfection, freedom from suffering. The same mind that wanted it for yourself in renunciation. Yeah? You have that wish and like, I want out of samsara. I want this mind to stop suffering. I want the causes of suffering to stop. I'm sick and tired of the things that are causing suffering. I genuinely, deeply want that done. Not just for me, but because everyone else is also suffering. Now, whether you see that with correct view or not, depends whether you have the third of the path, right? So initially, genuinely, I don't think I ever possessed that for the first 5-6 years of my practice, that I want you to stop suffering because my mind tells me you exist out there separate from me, and that's the best I could do. Yeah? All the people walking around in the subway, really genuinely, if she got punched in the face, I didn't feel it in my face. She ain't me that way, and you get punched in the face a lot. Yeah, she does. She's a boxer. So she gets, do you get punched in the face a lot?
Not that often.
Not that often, but I get kicked in the face.
Maybe more than the national average.
Yeah. More than the national average. So it's actually this wish, the fire under your belly for renunciation, that fervor, that fuel, that thing you want to put in your personal rocket ship out of samsara, out of planet things break down, yeah? Out of that, the fuel you put in that is renunciation, right? Bodhicitta is that fuel with everybody else on board for your spaceship.
It's the one phrase that I believe sums it up pretty well is, in liberating myself, may I benefit all beings.
And liberate them too.
Right.
Like I wish I could do that for you. So it's a wish. The technical definition is?
Spontaneous question.
Where did spontaneous come from?
It's true.
Is it?
It means without rationalizing, just know it.
That's an uncontrived wish. You can still have a contrived wish. Yeah, at some point, the ultimate bodhicitta will be you'll have a mystical experience. Yeah, but you can get some beforehand. Yeah, the real bodhicitta, if you like, the ultimate bodhicitta will be some kind of mystical experience in meditation, where you genuinely see that it is possible to get out, and you have everybody in mind to get there. But to get there, you need some training. Yeah. So you develop the wish, you grow the wish, you put some stuff in your mind to get to an uncontrived state. Yeah, the spontaneous thing. Before that, there's all these practices which are contrived, which are forced, which are new learnings for us to get that wish that if I'm suffering, it doesn't take 2 seconds. You might be too, and you might be too, and you might be too. So if I can get myself out, if that was possible, if I could experience being completely blissful and aware of reality in its ultimate sense, then if I think that's possible for me because I've figured it out and I'm on my way there, I'm building the spaceship with all the right parts and fueling it up with I'm sick and tired of that, yeah, then it doesn't take 2 seconds to think that others can get there too, right? So the wish is I really want that for everyone.
Doesn't that assume, number one, that you have the tools to help other people whose suffering comes from many different ways? So, for instance, someone could be suffering in a purely economic sense, and you can give them compassion, perhaps, and then also you don't have ultimate knowledge within yourself. So your view is blinded because you are within yourself. So you might not even.
That's why it's just the wish.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the wish. You haven't attained the power to do that. But logically, you figured out through understanding the third of the principal parts, the view of reality, correct view, which we'll get to tonight. You'll come to some logical understanding, some proof for yourself that it is totally possible when you discover, understand, and meditate upon where the world comes from, where our worlds come from. Yeah, if you understand that, and you see how you're used to engage with the world, and you see the path, you see a map with logic, and then with insight through meditation, and you get it for yourself, which gives you renunciation, then you can say, well, then I can do that for others too. If I'm going to do it, let's see if I can do it for others. And it'll come to you when we cover the end of the class. But it's a good question. Yeah, do I have the power to stop someone getting bombed right now? No. Can I have the wish that they stop suffering? Totally. Can I develop it so much that it's second nature? Totally. Yeah. Now with that wish, then comes action, right? It's the beginning of karma, thought. Mm-hmm.
So as you study this, at least for myself, as I find becoming much more aware of other people's suffering and feeling much more compassion because I'm aware of it, how do you prevent yourself from becoming overwhelmed with sort of absorbing everybody else's suffering?
Good. If you're an empath, yeah, and you like, oh, everybody's suffering, and it disables you, it totally, if you've taken it on as a personal thing and complete, then you haven't got the understanding of correct view. You're missing a core component of these teachings. Yeah, because you are not understanding where the world actually comes from. Yeah, so if you believe there's some self-existent thing that I just took from you and now I'm all suffering, then you haven't figured out logically that that is possible to end and stop, that it is a projection, because that should give you power to say, oh my God, it's totally stoppable. And in the wheel of life at the bottom, the Buddha says, you'll end suffering and death, aging and death, like an elephant crushing a house of reeds. It'll be that simple. It'll be the power of an elephant pouring weight on a house of reeds that just breaks. When you get that as an insight, you can't feel the suffering of others and be disarmed and be undone. So it should trigger, if you do feel that way, which many people do, and I have done, and I sometimes go there. The first time I entered a meditation that was close to this feeling, yeah, in a visceral, real way, deep in my mind. And I got to see the suffering of the world the way it was, not the way I was constructing it, where it came from, and so on. Because I didn't have a strong grounding in emptiness, it freaked me out, and I closed up for years. I closed up for years. But that in itself was a lesson and a learning as I got to get deeper and deeper into where the nature of my world comes from. Emptiness, dependent origination. Yeah? How does that really work? Because this was just another event dependently arising on my mind. Yeah, and I could undo that. So there are two typical methods for developing this wish, this fervor to want to remove suffering from this world, not just for me. What are the two typical ways that we have taught in this?
Isn't a component of bodhicitta wishing for your own enlightenment first to be able to relieve? And
The definition by Maitreya is the wish to become enlightened for the sake of every living being. I want Buddhahood. I want freedom from suffering for me, for the sake of every living being.
Your enlightenment is what gives you the power and understanding.
But that's what I said at the beginning. The wish is so far from Buddhahood. The wish comes eons or a lifetime, if you're on the tantric path, before Buddhahood. A Buddha, do they have the wish for enlightenment for the sake of every living being?
No. No, they're not.
Do they not?
They're already past enlightenment. What would they have wish for that?
No.
They're already enlightened.
Like being enlightened.
But do they have bodhicitta in their heart?
Yeah.
So do they have ultimate bodhicitta? Yeah, so we'll get to that too, okay? We're on course 1. 3 principal paths. 3 core ideas. The first one you got. The second one? Bodhicitta, which is? The third one is? Correct view of emptiness. We'll get to that later on today. Sorry to cut you off, but I want to get through the content. Yeah. So what are the 2 ways we've taught in these 6 years how to get bodhicitta? There's a shortcut and there's a long cut.
Oh, exchanging self for others.
Exchanging self for others, the practice of Tonglen, which is a type of meditation, which summarized, and don't practice it if you just have the summary, is you imagine other people suffering, and inside you there's wisdom, and you take it away, you burn it, and you give them wisdom.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Got it? We're not talking about that. Okay? 2 ways to develop the wish. Do I have that up there or not yet?
No.
Do I have it yet?
Yes.
Yeah. Tonglen was... Do I have that up there? No. Part A. What's a second way? I'm not teaching Tonglen. Yeah? Who teaches Tonglen in the mornings, meditation? Sometimes. So if you want to learn Tonglen, come to Sarah or when you're teaching it.
Yeah. And the other component is loving kindness. Similar but different.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the 5 wishes, the 5 steps.
So we teach here 2 things. And if you've been in these courses, you know 2 ways that I've taught how to get bodhicitta.
Seeing everyone as your mother?
Yes.
As Irma? Seeing everybody as Irma?
Where is she? You all look like her.
What do you call that? What's the name of that method? Huh?
Equanimity?
That's like the 8 steps.
Say it loud.
Bodhicitta or something. I don't know. 8 steps.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
7.
Oh yeah.
The 7-part cause and effect. Yeah. What was Tonglen? A type of practice that was a meditation. Often, when we teach this 7-part cause and effect to get bodhicitta in your mind, we do the boring Western thing and take a list down and go, okay, I think you've got the list. It's not a list, people. It's a 7-part cause and effect. Do this, that will happen. Do this, that will happen. You skip a step, that won't happen. Yeah? And so it's also a meditation, okay? Which means you sit in your meditation posture and you go through these 7 steps, of which there are 8, because that's what it is. And you meditate on the first one until you understand it to the best of your ability, and you move it from intellect, reasoning, forcing your mind to think about it, until you get a sense, oh, I see how that can be true. Oh, I see how that could be true. And on that basis, you move to the next meditation. And then you do the same. You think about that logically based on your previous understanding, your last meditation, and you do the same. You're like, I see how that could be. I see that. I feel what that could be. And on that basis, which is a sandwich of 2 bases, you do the 3rd meditation. Is that cool? Yeah? I don't know why I'm talking to you like, is that right? Na-na-na, yeah, sorry for that. I didn't mean to do that. Thanks, Mom. Which one? I can joke with my mom. She asked me not to call her out. We did like all these lectures in Florida, and I'm like, oh, I'm so proud. My mother's visiting from Australia. I'm sorry to bring another Irma to Florida, but I promise that this one is not harmful. And she's like, please don't do that again at the next one. So the next one, I made her stand up. I love you, Mom. Thank you. That's my mom. I'm sorry. You can get stories from her about my bad childhood behavior in the break. Okay?
They're awesome.
Stop it.
They are.
I know. No break. Thank you, bro. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing, which is pre the 7, is what? You guys read it? Equanimity. What the hell does that mean, and how do you meditate on equanimity? I'm going to do this quickly-ish.
If everyone is a projection of your karma,
Yeah.
they're all the same. You should feel the same about them because it's all your karma that seems to be.
That's good if you've studied wisdom. What's another way of thinking of equanimity? Let's think of equanimity between a mosquito and your mother.
I was just thinking a little bit.
Go on.
I think it's harmony in a way.
Harmony, okay. The idea here, give me equanimity between a mosquito and my mother, or your mother.
You feel just as hurt if you killed a mosquito as if someone killed you.
Why? Isn't my mother more important than a mosquito?
They're all beings that have minds that experience pain.
Great. Whatever logic you have to go through to get yourself to start off at the foundation of equanimity, make sure you can get a mosquito and your highest possible person and feel the same about them. Another trick might be if all beings have existed for all time, if all minds have existed for all time, all beings have been mosquitoes. Yeah? This one just happens to be a mosquito now.
This is beautiful.
Nice. Here's a natural bodhisattva. What happened to the thing? Okay. Distraction. We got equanimity. Yeah. You would sit down and meditate. Logically think through how every creature is the same. Yeah? Not that I like my family more than I don't like these people. Get yourselves to a point logically, rationally, intellectually first, and then emotionally, that everybody on this planet, in this universe, deserves the same happiness as everybody else, wants not to suffer as much. And whatever logic you need to go through, scriptural or any idea, just get to a feeling where you could do that. There are many practices. I'm not going through them. Got that?
Yeah.
Quick.
Another way is to think.
I said I'm not going.
That if you've had an infinite number of previous lives, you've had an infinite number, countless number of mothers.
That's the second step.
I'm sorry.
That's good.
That's how a mosquito could be.
It's part of it, right?
Oh, go ahead.
No problemo. Based on that basis, you can do it now, Richard.
Based on that basis, if you've had an infinite number of rebirths, you've had an infinite number of mothers.
Yes.
So every being in this room was at one time my mother. Every being in all of the 6 realms in the past, future, and present has been your mother. So every mosquito has in fact been your mother.
So on the basis of equanimity, where you see that all life has, you have to then understand a couple of things, right? Is it true that mind has always been and always will be? Is time infinite? If you don't get that, you have to go and investigate that. Yeah?
But that's still not equal, because when I was your mom, you still didn't clean up your room.
No, it's equal. Believe me, she complains about it all the time. Yeah. Still, I did it to you, and I did it to her. Yeah. So based on the basis that all beings, yeah, and you can do it with wisdom if you have it. They're the projection of my mind. They're this or that or the other. But minds are minds. The nature is the same. This one is in this form now, and that form then. Tomorrow that'll be this form, and that one will be that form. Everyone wants happiness, doesn't want unhappiness. Doesn't matter if you're an amoeba or the highest person that close for enlightenment. If you're in samsara, even if you're not, every mind is equal. Get yourself on that basis. Once you've got there, then recognize that all things being equal, if all time has been here, and every being, you've had an infinite, not a finite, an infinite, a never-ending possibility of interaction with every one of those minds, like a lottery, then the chances are guaranteed that every being has been your mother. Yeah, which is your point, which is the first of the 7. I don't want to go there, so keep your questions. I apologize, otherwise you will never get out of here. Yeah, and I've got a ton of content to go through, because this is a condensed version of, we're doing 10 weeks in 1.5 years in 10 weeks. Yeah, in 10 classes. So do you see how now you have to meditate on that being true for you? Here first, and then there. But you have to follow these steps if you want to get to Bodhichitta, which is the wish to get out for the sake of everyone else, get enlightened for the sake of everyone else, right? So based on that basis, that every being, doesn't matter what they look like, yeah, must have been my mother. Yeah, now in the West, we sometimes don't like our mothers. She was mean to me, yeah? She was blah, 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 yeah? The Tibetans think that's really a stupid argument, because if you've had to have a creature grow on the inside of your body, stretch your belly, squeeze your organs, make you pee and vomit for 9 months, yeah, as it stretches out the most intimate part of you, push you out or get cut out of you 9 months later, and then it doesn't stop there, yeah, you have to put the creature on your teat, and you have to feed it with your body. You've got to be careful what you eat. You shit and vomit and piss all over that person, who wipes up your shit and vomit and piss, and crying and screaming and begging and moving. Whether you like your mother or you don't like your mother, she gave you this life. She put up with all that stuff, which necessitates forgetting her life and putting it aside. She can't go to dinner when you're vomiting and pissing. Yeah? So for every holy mother, whether you like her or don't like her, whether you got a complaint about her behavior later on, or she affected me psychologically, put that aside, the Tibetans say. They say, just look at physically. Yeah? She also grew inside of her your stupid human body, which is the only way you can reach a state of enlightenment, from a human platform. She gave you the chance to come into a realm with a thing that has the window to enlightenment. Right? On that basis, you think every creature has done that for me over and over and over and over. And that should give you a feeling. Yeah, and once you've got that from mind to feeling, you then remember that kindness. You're like, that's right. She did that, and she did that, and she did that. You should be filled with love for every mother that you've ever had, because they did that for you. And this time, maybe it's a mosquito. But in that mind, they've done that for, it's not just the 9 months, it's not the first 2 years, It's all the complaints and worries and thoughts, and maybe they don't know how to take care of you because you're a crazy bastard, but they tried. Yeah? From that side, they were like, I have to give up me and take care of you. For that, you think, I remember their kindness. And what should come after remembering that kindness of your holy mothers? If you have a good relationship with your mother, you think about that for your mother and then project that onto every other person you can.
Right.
Going, she's the same, she's the same. What should come next? You want to repay. You're like, I wish I could give her back this kindness. What a gift to be given this precious human life, the capacity that you have. Your body didn't die. You're a baby creature. If the mother didn't do what she was supposed to after you dropped out of her body, she could have just left you there. She didn't. You could not have survived. What?
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm saying no.
I was remembering Monty Python. Like the Every Sperm is Sacred song, yeah, where she's had the 700th child or something. That's why I was reminding. Yeah. So, do you understand this part? Intellectually, if you can't do it naturally, intellectually you think, this creature, my mother, picked me up, fed me, clothed me, housed me, protected me. Good or bad, you're here, right? You've survived what you shouldn't have survived, which is appearing on this planet. Someone did this for you. Yeah? And that means everyone has done this for you at some point. So you have this feeling, you develop it. This is the way you habituate your mind to get to a state of bodhicitta. Because if you remember their kindness and then you have this impulse to want to help them, what do you think is the next thing? Yeah, you have a love for them. You feel love for them like a mother would feel for her only child. You know how everyone's got the baby pictures and like, isn't it beautiful, my baby? And sometimes they're ugly as hell, right? And you're like, oh, it's really nice. No, seriously, some babies look horrible, but for the mother, right? It's like, look at this beautiful creature. Or, you know, if you've not had babies, I've not had babies, but I've got sisters and brothers and friends that have babies, right? They're like, it pooped. Like, I remember my sister showed me the first diaper with the green poop, like after the first solid, yeah? The most revolting thing you've ever seen. And my sister's like, look what it did. It's able to shit. Great. You know, but mothers look at children like that, like, oh my God, what a miracle this creature is. Yeah? That with this kind of awe. And if it had no other child, this thing is all for that mother. You should love them with the same fervor. Yeah?
There's also something else that happens, or at least happened to me, and which is when I first held my daughter, I suddenly knew without a doubt how much I was loved because of the love I felt for her, and it blew my mind.
Nice, nice. Whatever you can use to generate this feeling, Tsongkhapa is saying, do these things. Yeah? So if you've got a very grounded emotion, then at this step, you bring that in. Awesome. But direct it to everybody in your world. But you can't do it straight here. You've got to go from equanimity to logically to remember how awesome they were to you, to want to repay, to love them, meaning give them everything they need. Whether it's they can't get work, you try and help them get work. To all the way to they've got shitty mental afflictions, want to remove those mental afflictions. Anywhere in the between. Yeah? What do you think would come next?
I gotta educate myself. I gotta get enlightened.
Close. It's coming. Mahakaruna. Do you know this one?
Great kindness.
Great kindness. Good. Mahakaruna means the big kindness.
Great compassion.
Yeah, great compassion.
Great dance. Oh, that's my career.
So the first one, the previous step was love, and the next one was great compassion. This is in reverse order. For those of you who have studied before, in some other texts, they flip them. You say, first you feel great compassion, want to remove their suffering, and then you love them, right? Give them everything they want. Why would they do it here? Just as an aside, the other way around.
Because you're more motivated to remove their suffering if you really love them?
Yeah, good, excellent, nice, that's good. So anyway, great compassion is like whatever you need to do, you want to remove that suffering. What would come after that? What are we up to? 5.
Number 6.
Number 6, thanks, Stephen. Someone hit him.
Action.
Yeah?
Is it that you actually start to take action?
Absolutely. But this is Laknam, what is it?
Laksamnanda.
Laksamnanda. Yeah? Which is you take personal responsibility for every being's happiness. You decide, make a decision, internalize it. Later we'll get how we can do that with wisdom, yeah? That even if nobody else was willing to help you, you will, to the best of your capacity, do whatever it takes, whatever you're capable of, to bring those beings out of suffering. That you will do it for them. Not wait on someone else, not complain that someone didn't help you, but because you've gone through those things, you take it upon yourself, personal responsibility. I will get everyone out of suffering and into enlightenment. And that being step number 6, what do you think step number 7 is? Actual bodhicitta. That will produce the wish to reach enlightenment for the sake of every living being. It doesn't produce enlightenment, it produces the wish to reach enlightenment. And you need that wish, you need that second state of mind in order to get enlightened. You can't do it without it, okay? And then to do it fast, you need the third of the 3 principal paths. So you happy with that? You're good? Cool. Remember it, list it, practice it. If you're waning in your meditation, you can pick this up. Try it for 3 months. Sit there, create yourself a timetable and go, I'm going to do equanimity. Research equanimity on the ACI database. Go to the 3 Jewels, go to hectormarcel.com, course material, look it up, yeah? And practice it. You want to feel a transformation, you got to do something, yeah?
Is there any wisdom of how to develop proper boundaries? Because I can see this practice under wrong conditions.
Yeah.
Trouble.
Good. If it's hurting, or if you think it's hurting, you can't do it. Yeah? That's the only thing I can give you right now. Understanding correct view will show you the boundaries. At some point, compassion for one of the mothers, let's say who's addicted to punching you in the face or hurting you or cheating you or whatever, isn't being nice to them. Compassion is like, stop that shit behavior because it's killing you. Compassion is, sorry, that stops here. That's also compassion. So you need discernment about seeing what the mothers are doing that is creating hell for them, and you, because you love them, not because you're protecting yourself, because you love them, you decide that that behavior will ultimately hurt them in their world. So you protect them from doing that by stopping those things in the track. Yeah? Now, personally, I like putting myself on the edge. Some people can't do that. Yeah? I will place myself in a situation where it allows a person to get to that edge. Yeah? And I'll watch them do it once or twice, and then try and invoke a sense in them to see the effects on their world. Now, I'm not suggesting you do that unless you're sick and tired of this world and you want out quickly. Yeah? Honest. Some people can't do that. And I've seen people not know their boundaries and think compassion is being nice to everybody. That's not true. Compassion is stopping the causes for suffering. Compassion is stopping the causes for suffering. And if you see something as the cause of suffering, you stop it. Yeah? Whatever means. You can start nice, you can then negotiate, and if you have to punch them in the head because you don't want them to cause themselves suffering, not because you're protecting yourself, then punch them in the head. Yeah? So Hector said you can. Now, we need to talk about the third of the three principal paths, which is correct view. And to do that, this is the most important thing I think I need to tell you, okay? Anyone else need to leave? Thanks. Love you. Have you ever had a sense that the reality you live in isn't all of it? There's something else going on here. Yeah? Yeah? Something else, right? And then we get lost in our imaginary something else and try and figure that out. Okay, so here's the answer. It's from the Buddha. By the way, it took me a long time to find a wise woman. There were lots of wise men with beard Lego figures, but the other wise woman was like this scientist who looked brainiac, and then the other one was Princess Leia. So we need more female figure Lego figures, literally figures. Yeah. There were lots of guys with beard and staffs and like, I'm a wise man, but there weren't too many wise women. And there was also Superwoman. Yeah, no, Wonder Woman, not Superwoman. So anyway, there are two realities going on in this very room, in this very world, in your minds, all the time, in tandem. Okay? And we are stuck at looking at just one reality and thinking that is the ultimate thing. That's why the movie The Matrix is an amazing film, because it talks to this idea. Yeah? Not because there really is the Matrix, okay? But because it talks to this idea. So I'll just give you the download. One is what we call deceptive reality, lying truth, fake truth. There is a truth about being in this room and it's lying to you. There is a way that this room exists, the people in this room exists, the idea in your brains exist, the feelings in your body exist, the conceptions about yourself exist. There is a way that things exist, and it's a lie. It's not the way it appears, and that is relative truth, fake truth, because it's not the be-all and end-all. It's not really the way things are. It's the way things appear, and because of a shortcut, a misunderstanding, a misperception, we think things are that way. I am Hector, and this is Hector. This is a wall, and it's only a wall, and it's that way because that's how my limited eyes see it, and that's true. Unless you're a bat, and that's not that. Unless you're an ant, and that's not that. Yeah? Remember the thing of the pen? Yeah? So the pen, I'm not doing the pen. Fake truth. Sorry. Fake truth. Do we have that? Yeah? The way things appear is not the way things are. But we are hooked by it. We are bedazzled by that fakeness. We are completely grabbed by that, and we think that's the way it exists. I tasted ice cream. The way I tasted it must be what gave me happiness and joy. So what's the impulse of thinking that fake truth is true?
More.
I want more ice cream. And if someone else wants ice cream, I should punch them out and keep the ice cream to myself because I really want ice cream. I know I'm exaggerating, but we do this. This is what causes samsara. Because we don't understand the way things ultimately exist, the thing that lies behind the appearance of ice cream or joy in the ice cream, right? Which is ultimate truth, the way things ultimately exist. So for that, we need to talk about these two things are either side of the same coin. Karma and emptiness. Karma, the way things appear, and emptiness, the way things ultimately are. Which, bottom line is, it's not the way they appear. Yeah? That's summary. So for that, we need to talk about dependent origination, which is the positive side of experiencing life, not positive as in yay, positive as in material, yeah, experiential, we think it's real. We'll have the other one. And emptiness, the negative side of things, the lack of how things are. Words might get weird, but they're not. So here is the clincher, okay? And please listen. If it is possible to stop suffering, you must understand what causes it. You must understand the way your reality, the world you're navigating, the real one, the office, the relationships, your house, your body, your thoughts, the entirety of this realm for you exists in a way that isn't the way it appears. And you better figure it out, and you have the equipment to figure it out. Because if you do, then you can tweak the courses to produce the result you want, rather than only dealing with one side of truth, one side of reality, and with that mistake, produce more mistakes. See, you understand? With deceptive truth, thinking things are only the way they appear, we engage with that world and create more of the mistakes, which creates the cycles of samsara. To really undo that cycle, break the cycle, you must understand its ultimate nature, and at that level affect reality and apply ultimate causation to give you ultimate results, not mistaken results that break. Does that make sense? Yeah, so here's the statement I prepared for you earlier. Someone read it loudly.
We must understand how things exist.
Dependent origination first.
And how they don't exist.
Emptiness. Yeah.
To achieve liberation from samsara and reach happiness.
Good. Which is to remove your mental reflections. Yeah. First, see how things are appearing, dependently arising. And that word has been bandied around. It's just things come based on other things. Yeah. You can't have this room if someone didn't cut the wood and put the floor down. You can't have these walls if someone didn't. That's one way of looking at things depend on other things. Yeah. So I want to give you a couple of the ways Buddha taught dependent origination. And if the goal, did I put the goal there? The test of whether or not these three ways of interpreting dependent origination, how things come about. Because if you understand how things come about, you can fix the broken things. Yeah? If you don't understand, you're stuck continuously trying to make your life happy and not really knowing how. So this is the most important thing. Correct view means you figure out this world, not some heady idea, this world for you, how is it operating? And can I get to its ultimate nature and therefore impact its experience, its appearance to me? Because everything is dependent. It's arising in dependence to other things. Nothing here, the cloud in the sky is dependent on the river evaporating, or this ocean evaporating and creating, and the water that comes from the clouds is dependent on the clouds, and the flowers, etc., right? One way of interpreting. The Buddha taught dependent origination. I'm going to go 15 minutes more. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So here we go. The test for that is, will understanding this remove my mental afflictions? Will it stop suffering? Okay, so I'll give you the three ways Buddha taught dependent origination, how everything is, and then you figure out for yourself, will it stop suffering? Will it break the cycle? Is that fair? Is that cool?
Yes.
Let me make sure I've done that. I have done that. I have. So here are there are three schools of thought. For those of you who were here before, give me the three different schools of thought. Give me the three schools. Do you remember?
Hinayana,
Yogacara Chitaranga.
But what are they grouped as? Functionalists. Do you remember that? Functionalist, independent, and consequential. Right? Cool. If you don't know this, don't worry. It's nothing. It's really three ways we as humans could understand what dependence means. Yeah, we've just summarized 2,500 years of people thinking this way, and we can group them in three different ways. That's all it means, okay? But the functionalist group, people think things come about in dependence on their causes and conditions. We actually believe that. We think this, what's the cause of this? The main cause, the main thing that makes glass? Sand. What are the conditions for sand to turn into glass? Heat. Extreme heat, molding, etc. We believe that, right? What about the causes and conditions of this flower? Seeds of a plant, and the causes and conditions, water, heat, growth. Yeah, sunlight, nutrients in the soil. We operate that way. Scientific method believes that.
What about the baby coming from the mother?
The baby coming from the mother? How do you mean?
Is that
You could say that. You could say the baby was the sperm and egg from the mother, and then if you think the baby is only the body, right, then that body came from that. No problem. Yeah. Causes, sperm and egg. Conditions are womb, a few sexy moments of sexy time, and like 3 minutes. Womb, 3 minutes, and body parts. Yeah. Then nutrients, food, 9 months, etc. So I just give you a summary, but this is for you to investigate. The world you are walking around in does exist, does it not? Yeah. Buddhism does not say it does not exist. It just says it does not exist the way you think it does, okay? It does exist. You really do feel things. You really do get hit by cars if you jump on the road at the wrong time. Yeah, they do exist. But how do they exist? You've got to figure it out with your own mind and not just listen to me or Buddha or anyone else. But if you want to catch up over the 2,500 years, some people say causes and conditions. We got that? Other people say that doesn't cover all things in the universe I know. Causes and conditions doesn't cover, for example, the idea of space. I know it's heady, right? Things that are not produced, yeah? Things that are not changing. Like the idea of space, there is space here where my hand is, yeah? My hand is occupying that space, those coordinates, and now it's not occupying it. That space is still there, whether my hand is there or not. That is unchanging, it doesn't change. These coordinates, this idea of space, yeah? It's not bathtub space, meaning I put my hand and air gets displaced. It's not the air, yeah? So that, over 2,500 years, people said that's also an existing thing on this universe, and that isn't a changing thing. So it can't be caused, yeah? But it's a thing, and it's dependently arising. I'm engaging with it, so it's there. Where the hell did that come from, right? What's dependently arising mean in that case? So a deeper way to explain dependent origination, things originate, that thing is a thing, right? The idea of space. And it doesn't have causes and it doesn't have conditions because it's unchanging. We can get into that another time. If it does change, it was produced by causes and conditions. If it doesn't change, it can't have because it's constant. Heady, I know. But over 2,500 years, someone thought of that and said, well, your first definition doesn't cover that. So a deeper understanding of dependent origination is it's dependent, that thing is dependent, like everything, upon its parts. And in fact, you can say that covers this as well. So it's a little bit bigger umbrella. This is a bottle because it's got the shape of a bottle and has the sand particles in it, and it's had the molding, etc., etc. So the parts of it, the top of it, the shape of it, produce in your conception of a bottle. It's got parts. That's a nice way to say dependent origination. Yeah? The flower, you can say, yeah, it's a flower because it's dependent on its parts. A flower has petals, has color, has blah, blah, right? So we can say those parts make it a flower. They're both true. One's just a little bit deeper. Is that cool? Now, what was the test of whether or not this will stop your suffering? Huh?
Oh, sorry. If everybody else did the same.
Well, will understanding that flowers come from causes and conditions stop your suffering? No, because we know that, and we're still suffering, right? Will understanding that the flower is dependent on its parts, like space is dependent on its parts, the top part, the bottom part, does that remove your sufferings instantly?
You can see the causes and conditions that cause your suffering.
You could, right? You could say, I'm going to avoid that flower and not get that flower, and I'm going to do this, and then you have to have in your mind every single object and its possible combination to avoid suffering, right? It's maybe it will if you had that capacity, but it's not going to remove. Understanding that isn't going to remove your suffering right now, and you don't see the path to it, yeah, like at least in this lifetime. So here's the deepest way that over 2,500 years Buddha's words were interpreted and explained. All of them were taught by Buddha for people with different capacities, but the highest way, this is the Majjhimika Prasangika, the highest of the middle way schools. Don't need to know that stuff. Yeah, actually you do for the exam. Is that, get this, because this is liberation and this will help. Understanding that things, physical objects and non-physical objects, your thoughts, emotions, your identity, everything, empty space, flowers, bottles, everything is dependently arising. It originated something, right? It's dependent on other things, but it's not depending on its parts. That's one simplistic way of saying it's not dependent on causes and conditions. It is completely dependent on your perception, the way your mind is forced to experience it due to the past karmas, the imprints in your mind you've collected. Now, if reality existed that way and things are dependently appearing based on your projections, like this is a remote control for humans, but this is a chew toy for dogs. It is not a remote control because it's made of plastic. It's not a remote control because it's got parts that are buttons and not buttons. It is completely a remote control because when I look at it, our collective human experience forces us to call it functional remote control. But it cannot be functional remote control from its own side if a dog wants to chew it and not see it as remote control. Do you get that? It's so simple, we miss it. It's so simple, we miss it. And it's around every aspect of your life. It's not just in remote controls or flowers or bottles. It's in your identity. It's in your feeling. It's in your conception of humanity. It's in your conception of the universe. You are projectors through your limited senses, labeling, forced by what you've got inside of you to experience this universe the way you are experiencing it. It is dependent only on what's inside of you. That can free you. That can stop suffering. Because if you figure out what the hell is projecting this, you can stop it or continue it. Knowing that it's made of plastic, who gives a rat's? Knowing that it's got the button and not the button, who gives a rat's? It won't free you. This explanation of dependent origination, which necessitates your understanding of emptiness, which means this object is empty of being a chew toy from its own side. It's like a blank screen, because if it was a chew toy, I must see it as a chew toy if it's emanating chew toyness. With logic, you know it's not possible, because I see it as a remote control. It sees it as a chew toy. An ant sees it as a death trap. It is neither of those things, and yet it is those things dependent on the mind that's forced to experience it that way. And then we go into karma. It's empty of being those natures. It's dependent on the karmas in our mind, the imprints forced. You can't choose this not to be a remote control. Yeah? So if you understand those two, did I go to the next one? You can then begin to understand what no self means. It doesn't mean get rid of your ego, okay? It means no self nature. Now, if you want to be heady, you can go, oh, for the people, the functionalist who thinks things are caused by causes and conditions, no self, yeah, the things we deny is a thing that could ever exist without causes and conditions. Duh, you could never have a flower that wasn't produced by a seed, sunlight, and the rest, right? But that doesn't really help you. So what? You could never have space that didn't have parts. Okay, good. So, but you could never have a world that was not coming from your projection. That gives the entire responsibility for your experience of the world back to you, with logic, proved by logic, meditated upon and internalized. And when you get that realization, you can completely understand what hurts and what doesn't hurt on this planet. Because if you're planting those seeds in your mind, the things that are forcing you to produce your reality, and those seeds have negativity by nature, hatred, anger, whatever, you will be forced to project onto any empty object just that, hatred, anger, and the rest, and then suffering you caused. If you don't want that anymore, then the next time someone's angry at you, the last thing you want to do is be angry at it back, because you're planting more seeds in the fabric of your mind, which will force you to project exactly the same thing. And it's counterintuitive. It's not what we do as humans. It's not what we are trained to do. We are here to perpetuate cycles of suffering. So you hurt me, I want to hurt you. And what I just did, I created another cycle. And it might not come from her, but it'll come from her, because she's equally empty. So when she says a word, if my seeds are filled with hatred that I gave to her last week, I'm going to hear it from her whether she means it or not. She's blank. The decibels don't have a nature. They are empty. My mind is forcing to hear that as sarcastic or angry or bitchy or whatever. Proof, when she says a bitchy thing to me, which is a bitchy thing for me, her neighbor who hates me giggles at the same decibels. She hates Hector too. That's awesome. Same sounds produce joy, produce hatred. They can't have that nature. They are coming from me. They are coming from her. And if we live an unexamined life, we're going to perpetuate all these things. But if you understand the ultimate truth, the ultimate way things exist, which are, they are blank, you then have the map to get out of your own cycle of suffering. You're not living in some samsara out there. Samsara is these cycles we do to each other. So, something for the heady people. Understand no self nature, emptiness, yeah, is the key to enlightenment, because things are blank, blah, blah, I just said that, right? For the extra heady people, please put that in your photograph. Yeah, I can. Unfortunately, I have to do it 16 times. Tell me when. Huh?
I was just telling Richard, you're trying to pull up the slide.
Yeah. Is it this one or the next one?
The next one.
That one? No.
No.
One more?
One more.
Pink elephant is my definition of a gotcha. Okay, you got that?
Thank you.
This one is for those who have done the classes on the 3 schools, so you can see the difference between what do we mean by dependent origination, things appear in a certain way, according to the 3 schools, and then what does that mean, what do they mean by emptiness, and what do they mean by the thing that would never exist anyway. So a flower that did not come from my projections can never be a flower. It's only a flower because I'm forced to see it as a projection. It's food for a bee. So it's flower for me. It's food for B, and whatever content is in that mind. Now, I am going to invite you. The class is sort of done. I'm going to invite you, because next class we're going to another topic altogether. If you get this, this is the foundation for every other class. I'm going to invite you, we're going to read the entire text of this thing, which is just 14 verses, short. You'll understand why we covered the 10 qualities of a teacher, dependent origination, how to get renunciation, why every being has been your mother, what should you feel about them. You will get that from this text now that you've studied it, at least as a flavor. You're invited to stay. I will get out of here by 5:02. If you want to stay, you can. It will be a blessing. If you want to stretch your mind, I invite you to stay. I'm bribing you to stay. It's worth hearing, okay? If you leave, I understand. You have lives, etc. You'll miss out on your own enlightenment. No, that's not. That is mean. I shouldn't say that. Yeah. So I'm going to invite you to read it out aloud, and then I'll throw in commentary quickly through it. This is the holy 14 verses, the entire path in code that you will be able to uncode because you've studied it already. From Holy Jason Kappa, it's the Lamso Namsum. And so together we'll start. As far as I am able, I'll explain the essence of all high teachings of the victors. So he starts with the teacher, 10 qualities of a teacher, okay? The path that all holy sons command, the entry point for the fortunate seeking freedom, yeah? Listen with a pure mind, motivation. Well, no craving for the pleasure of life, and who, to make leisure and fortune meaningful, strive to turn their minds to the path that pleases the victors. Now, he's going to tell you the first of the paths. There is no way to end without pure renunciation, this striving for pleasant results in this ocean of life. It's because of their hankering life, as well as that beings are fettered. So seek renunciation first. Leisure and fortune, your lives, are hard to find. If life's not long, think it constantly. Stop stupid desire for this life. Think over and over how deeds and their fruits never fail, cause and effect, karma, and the cycle's suffering. Stop desire for the future. Make sense so far? Cool. When you've meditated thus and feel not even a moment's wish for the good things of this cyclic life, and when you begin to think both night and day of achieving freedom, you've found renunciation. Renunciation, though, can never bring total bliss of matchless Buddhahood, unless it is bound by the purest wish. And so the wise seek the high wish for enlightenment. What is the high wish for enlightenment? The second path, Bodhichitta. Yeah? And now he's going to remind you about your mothers. Okay? Your mothers.
Call your mom.
They're swept along 4 fierce river currents: birth, aging, sickness, and death. Okay? Chained up, past deeds, hard to undo. All the stupid actions we do in samsara that cause our suffering, karmas, yeah, the stuff in our minds. Stuck in a steel cage of grasping self, smothered in the pitch black ignorance, misunderstanding how your world comes. We think it comes that way. Every being, your mothers, are stuffed in a steel cage. They cannot see what we discussed tonight. It's not natural to think this way. If you get an inkling of it, you are eons ahead of the rest of the creatures on this planet, and if you understand it, you're even closer. In a limitless realm they're born, and in their birth are tortured by the 3 sufferings without a break. Think how your mothers feel. Think of what's happening to them. Try to develop this highest wish. Now we're going into the third, right? You've mastered renunciation and the wish, but unless you have the wisdom perceiving reality, you cannot have the root of cyclic life. Make efforts in ways then to perceive interdependence. A person's entered the path that pleases the Buddhas when for all objects in the cycle and beyond, he sees that cause and effect never fail, and for them they lose solid appearance. You understand so far? You've yet to realize the thought of the able as long as two ideas seem to you dissimilar. The appearance of things, infallible interdependence, and emptiness beyond taking any position. If you still see them separate, you're not there yet. Correct view, okay? At some point, they no longer alternate, come together. Just seeing the interdependence never fails brings the realization that destroys how you hold to objects. And then your analysis of view is complete. You actually have correct view if you can see how things are not coming this way, how your mind is projecting that way. Now you have to do that intellectually and eventually meditate, and at some point you'll have a visual understanding of that. Now, in addition, the appearance prevents existence extreme, emptiness that of non-existence. And if you see how emptiness shows up in cause and effect, you'll never be stolen by extreme views. When you grasp as well as I the essential points of each of the three principal paths explained, then go into isolation, my son or daughter, make whatever efforts quickly with your ultimate wish. So in practice, okay, this is my summary advice of ACI 1. Check your world, understand, try and get your mind to the highest point of dependent origination. Where is this shit coming from? You should ask yourself over and over. And I'm not talking about just external stuff, internal stuff. Yeah? And think of the 3 levels of dependent origination and push yourself intellectually at first on your cushion and then try it in the street. Then understand its emptiness. It could not be any other way than projected by my mind. There ain't any experience I have that is not experienced by my mind and therefore projected by my mind. Anything else that says he caused me suffering is a mistake. Do you understand? Get that. Then meditate on emptiness, initially intellectually, until you get it so clear in your mind that it becomes second nature, and then you're on a mission to stop aging and death for yourself and every living being. Relax, and all these seeds will come and give their fruit, and study hard. And that's it for ACI 1. I can't believe we did that in that long. So quickly, let's create a mandala and dedicate. And grateful that you stayed that extra time. I hope it was worth. I know it was worth it.
Yeah, great talk to Mom.
Yeah, you can talk to Mom now. Okay.
Sashi
Pugiya Jushin Netotram Viravling Shin Indegam Pali Sangye Shindu Mitewargi Drogunanda Shinla Chuparsho Idam Guru Ratnamandala Kam Niryatayami
Kewa
Dihiragokun Sunam Yeshe Soksoshin Sunam Yeshe Lejinwe Dhamma Gunito Parsho. If you've got just an inkling of wisdom or a realization in your mind, if you want to perpetuate it, give it away to every creature you can imagine that needs this wisdom to get themselves out of suffering. And the excitement that comes with understanding there is a path out with this understanding for yourself and others. With that energy, give it away to as many beings as you can imagine. Thank you so much for staying that little bit longer. And I hope that you take this to heart. It's a real thing. It's not just ideas. It's up to be practiced. And then I have a confession to make. Last Thursday, I did a very shitty job of telling you how special the 3 jewels is and how much it needs your help. The 3 jewels is about to move We've signed a contract to begin building the new location because we're forced out of here because a building got sold and our rent tripled. We've got enough money to build the place, but we need as much help, both financially and otherwise, to keep this place going for another year. We're going to have a cafe over there to generate funds. But if you can, give whatever you can, time, energy, expertise, contact Stephen or anybody at the front desk and say, I want to help, or email me. Yeah, this place has been around for 21 years, giving this stuff for free or by donation. We will continue, but the more you help, the faster, the longer we can continue doing this awesome work. Yeah, so sorry I did that really bad last time, and thank you for calling me out on it, Stephen. Yeah, that's why you need partners. Thank you. And everyone go and hug my mom because she's awesome. Thank you. I'm not going to go to dinner either.